going on, Supercar fans? Back again doing another episode for you guys, and today is retro round at the Sandown 500, and as retro as I can get, this is pretty much as retro as I can go. So I did have a big mullet wig floating around here somewhere. I don't know where the hell it is, but I was going to wear that for a little bit of a, shits and gigs, but I couldn't end up finding it instead. Actually, I was thinking about wearing my unicorn head, but that's not really original, so we'll just cut straight into it, guys. Today was the Sandown 500, and it was just full of action. It was so fun. To kick off the Enduros was absolutely awesome too, so looking forward to obviously the next round, but we're not going to talk about that just yet, because I'm very excited to let you guys know on what's happening on that. So we're going to talk about the Sandown 500, and it was full of excitement straight away. We had a red flag within the first lap after Taz Douglas put it into the wall. I think it's at turn 6 or turn 7 or something like that, with that really fast sweeper there. And yeah, it was very sad, and poor Taz and Aaron Russell, who had been working so hard all week to get the car to where it was. Aaron had a very good run in the in a couple of the practice sessions on Friday, and got above a few people, and then to see him sadly go out in lap 1 was a little sad. So hopefully they can get the car turned around just in time for Bathurst, and all the best to the guys there. But yeah, red flag came out, and it was absolutely weird. It's very rare that we get to see a red flag, and it was really funny though, because we had a couple of interviews with Lee and Caruso. We had Garth Tander doing webcam with a lot of people, and it was just really funny. Actually, I'm going to show you what Lee and Caruso did right now.
To say either. Holdsworth, I'm just wondering, have you seen the retro round promo that was done with some of the guys dressing up in silly uniforms? Have you seen it?
I have, yeah.
Can you try to explain to me what Caruso was trying to channel in the accent he was putting on? You've got teammates. You know him better than most people.
I don't know. Pablo Escobar? Step carefully here, because we're right behind you guys. Step carefully. Pablo Escobar, I reckon. Winning! Mate, everyone knows it. How good's that? We've obviously done a good job promoting the event, the theme of Retro Round. What do you guys think out there? Let's be honest. Seen that guy with the mullet before. How good was that?
That's pretty good. I like this baby blue thing going on that you've got going too.
Baby blue? Yeah, it's not bad. What do you reckon I should roll this next round?
I just like it, and it suits you. It does suit you. It's pretty striking colour schemes that you've got. I'm not so sure about the Preston.
What's the word? What's the next
direction?
So why is that funny?
I'm not so sure about that one. I like this one. I like your one better. Off to a decent start. Got any scratches on it?
Yeah, there is actually. We just had a little scratch in the rear bar. I'm not sure who from, but look, it's a long way to go. So glad to hear that Taz is okay after that. We never want to see anyone have a big crash, particularly in that corner. So I'm sure once the repairs are done, it's going to be back to business as usual.
Let's hope so. Thanks, boys.
Okay, so after all the laughs and all that happened, the drivers finally got back into the cars. I'm going to turn the brightness down on this because you can see my face reflection, and it's terrible on that. So yeah, after about an hour and a half or so, we finally got to go back to racing, and it was really good. So after an hour and a half, we had the red flag came out, the red flag went back in, safety car came out, it was already out, but you know what I mean. Took them around for a couple of laps, and then off they went. And while that was happening, while we were listening to like the restart and whatever else, I think it was Neil Crompton, said, and I quote, "No pad changes are required due to the red flag, and race will be reduced to 127 laps." So, from 161 to 27. That's a massive difference. And also to have no brake pad changes, kind of messed with a little people's strategies as well. Like, obviously, because now you got to eliminate the pad change, how you're going to approach this and whatever else. And we seen that straight away. I think it was lap 5 when the safety car was out and taking everyone around the circuit. Our first driver change happened, and it was Craig Lowndes putting Steve and Richards into car 888, and I was Scaife, and actually I was surprised too, and it was actually a really, really good strategy, just to get that out of the way, give them some clean air, and away they go. Where are we? Here we go again. Right, it kind of reminds me of when I was trying to figure out where SVG finished at Eastern Creek, but no, we're not going to go that far in. Shane Van Gisbergen obviously started in 21st, yes, and was up to 6th place after 13 laps, and my God, it was just an incredible drive by him, and it was absolutely crazy. I'm going to show a little bit of footage right here of Steve Owen putting Luke Yulden into the sand trap. Now, if you look close, he kind of overran a little bit, and obviously put Yulden off into the sand trap. Now, he got penalised for that. He got a 5-second penalty at his next pit stop. And it was kind of weird because I'll get to that in a minute, but it was weird. It was very weird because there was another similar incident. I'm just trying to figure out who it was that did a very, very similar incident. And I can't really think of who it was, and I don't really remember putting it down either, but yeah, there was a very, very similar incident. I think it was Tim Slade actually did the same thing, and yeah, it was very, very strange. So unfortunately, them guys, they had to do a 5-second time penalty in the pits while they waited after their pit stop. So they obviously changed their tyres, put fuel in. They didn't change drivers obviously, and then once they dropped jacks, they had the time going. So sad enough for them. Alex Davison lost his rear wheel. And this was actually quite surprising. Well, not surprising. It was quite strange of what happened. So, Alex came in. That's car 62. It's Alex Rouleau's partner, if anyone didn't realise. So, Alex came into the pits, and he they lifted the car up, and they took the wheel off, and they were refueling as well. Anyway, everyone had finished except for the right rear wheel guy, and they were just about to put the car down, and he had just whacked the wheel on. Then they put the car down, and he was like, no, put it back up, and then they bolted it in, and then obviously went back down and it went off. And I'll just show, like, here somewhere, they actually got fined for that. Now, I'm pretty sure it was like a $5,000 fine or something. Yeah, that's what it says. Car 62, PLP, 30 team points, and a $5,000 fine. Just for that. You know, it was absolutely crazy. So, this race had everything, guys. It had absolutely everything. Dumbrell and Stenaway pitted on lap 20. Now, I think that was, like, the first of the leaders to come in. Richie Stenaway absolutely blitzed his stint, and hats off to him as well. Where are we? SVG came in as well for a pit stop, driver change as well. I think he was one of the first, apart from Lowndes and Stephen Richards, out of sequel to actually do that in sequel. So yeah, it was, and Campbell actually raced a really, really good race, and then obviously SVG got back in the car towards the end. Where are we now? Dumbrell, big moment for car 88 with Jamie Whincup piloting as well, and yeah, poor Dumbrell was behind the wheel and had a right rear failure on what lap was it? Lap 26, and obviously he pitted and then dropped all the way to 23rd. So it was quite bad for them, and bad luck for the Red Bulls this weekend. They struggled really, really badly. Sadly enough, that's when the primary drivers started coming in. So around lap probably 50 to 60 to 70. That's when they started going in. I know Lee changed with Carl at like lap 56 or something, and then took it out at the took it out towards the end. Another big one was Reynolds getting the failure as well. Sadly enough, you know, like he was blitzing, qualifying, as well as the race as well, and a big sorry to Erebus, who works really hard on that car all weekend, and to get a right front tyre failure really sucks. So hopefully they can turn it around for Bathurst, and hopefully no more tyre failures for anybody. A big funny moment. This is probably the funniest moment of the year so far. Todd Kelly, right here, has a new sponsor, and it's the Dunlop sign. It was hilarious. I was absolutely hysterical when I seen this. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. And God bless Todd. Like, he's so good. He drove around with this for about 2 or 3 laps until he was like, nah, fuck it. I'm just over it. I'm sorry for cursing there, but it was just like, no, I gotta slow down and just stop. But he had that on for like 2 or 3 laps, and oh my god, it was just hilarious to see the car just go around with this big friggin' sign on the front. It was just so funny. And yeah. it was really funny. I really enjoyed it. It was probably the highlight of the funniest stuff, like, because, you know, it's retro round and everyone's in, you know, it's like the dress up for V8 Supercars kind of thing. And you know, with all the uniforms that you've seen this week, with Russell Ingle and Scaife and a couple of the commentators walking around with those dreadful looking wigs and very old race suits, to have something in the race that was actually quite funny was actually really good. But back to seriousness now. Holsworth was piling on the pressure to James Moffat towards the end of the race, and they actually had a really good battle. Moffat would set a 110 like 0, and then Lee would set a 110-1, and then the next lap Lee would set the 110-0, and then Moffat would set the 110-1, and it was just back and forth all the way, and it was just so close between them. And yeah, a big congratulations actually to Preston Erection, who who actually had a really good weekend. Carl Reidler honestly is like, no offense to Craig Bird or Sebastian Borte here, but Carl Reidler obviously has driven these cars before. He knows a little bit more, and he's probably Lee's best co-driver by far so far in the Enduros. Like, I think he finished the co-driver practice session on Friday in 4th place. So, you know, that's awesome news for him. So to have Carl on the team as well is really good. And that Preston Erection car was hard to overtake this weekend. Get what I just did? that was just terrible. Don't laugh at that. If you laughed at that, please do not hate me in the comments. And yeah, that's just dreadful. Back to seriousness again, guys. Shane Van Gisbergen had a massive lock-up into turn 1, and it kind of put him out for a little bit. I'm going to show it right here. And yeah, it was a massive lock-up, and then obviously had that flat spot, and then obviously had to go to the pits as well. But that was a huge moment in the race as well. Dropped him a couple of... Didn't drop him as much, but it did drop a couple of... oh god, any gesture. Did drop him a couple of places there, but managed to get back onto the racetrack, obviously, and away he went. Scotty Mack was slowly catching Cam Waters with only 3 laps to go. Now, Cam, congratulations, mate, for winning it, but yeah, not your biggest fan. I'm sorry. I don't like you very much. But no, big congratulations to PRA for that. I'm getting notifications after notifications here, so I apologise for the doodlings. But yeah, Cam Waters and Richie Stanaway win ahead of Scott McLaughlin and Permat? Is that his name? Yeah, pretty sure. Sorry. And Chaz Mostert and Steve Owen obviously in 3rd place. And it was a very great race in general. It was fantastic. But I'm just going to run through the list here on the finish line. We had Waters obviously in first, McLaughlin second, Mostert third. Big congratulations to Garth Tander and Gary Rogers Motorsport. Garth obviously getting fourth. Actually, he finished in front of Coulthard. Shit, I didn't know that until just then. I didn't even know that until just then. Alright, so Coulthard finished fifth, Whincup finished sixth, Moffat seventh, Lee Holsworth in eighth, Tim Slade in ninth, Mark Winterbottom in 10th, James Courtney, big congratulations James and Mobile One for getting a top 15 finish there. Craig Lowndes finished 12th, Will Davison finished 13th, Dale Wood finished 14th, Rick Kelly 15th, Shane Van Gisbergen obviously with that tyre failure and big lockup all the way down into 16th, Jason Bright 17th, Todd Kelly 18th, David Reynolds, sadly enough to say this, but he finished 19th. That is sad. Simona Di Silvestro in 20th, Michael Caruso 21st, Scott Pye in 22nd, Nick Percat 23rd, and then Alex Rullo obviously got garaged for an hour and 2 minutes. That is insanity there. He only lasted 43 laps, and then obviously Taz Douglas had that moment in the first lap and obviously got a DNF. Now, before we go any further with that, that is the recap, guys, so I hope you really enjoyed that. I just want to talk about safety at this racetrack. Now, if you have not read up or whatever, I'm going to show it right here. This is Todd Hazelwood coming into turn 6 and absolutely ploughing into that tyre barrier. Now, this is an absolutely scary situation. When I seen this, like, mind you, when practices and these races are on, I'm like fully focused. I fully focused to this and whatever else. When this was happening yesterday, because they did like a race for the grid thing. When they were doing this, Todd Hazelwood obviously was driving the car and with Tim Blanchard in car 21, and Todd obviously got tangled up with the Woodstock car there, and just went so quick into the wall. Now I was watching this before that happened. Before that happened, I quickly turned away to my dad because my sister and nephew were here as well. And I was just saying something really like quick to them. It wasn't even for like a second. It was just like a and then back up here. I missed that whole thing that happened. So when I actually seen it again, I was like, oh my god. Well, all I seen was this car on its side. Now, when I see cars on sides or on roofs, I freak out. Now, like I said, I'm all about safety with these things. I think that these cars are the absolute pinnacle of safety. Like you look at Formula Ones with safety, you know, that thing that happened with what's his name? I can't remember his name. Perez at Spa about a month ago. His neck protector thingy in the cockpit, he hit the tyre wall and the neck thing flew out. And that was just like, what the hell? You've never seen that before. And when Todd hit this wall, there was like a mellowing silence in the lounge room. Like, mind you, we were talking like very loud. we have a very loud family. And then when that happened, I was like, shut up everybody. And I just focused on this, and for Todd's safety, I was stressing. I was absolutely scared. I was like, oh, you know, because I've seen massive accidents in front of me, like Paul Dumbrell in, I think it was 2012, when he was driving for the Toll team with Rick Kelly and came up through McPhillamy Park and hit the wall, and then missed the tyre wall, and then hit the concrete wall, and then obviously the next year they followed it up with all those tyres around McPhillamy Park. But with stuff like that, guys, it scares the hell out of you. Like, we had a Formula Ford a couple years ago. I think it was 2015. Same thing, spun in front of us, and then another car just pretty much just whack straight in the side, and it was really scary. The only way it's scary, the only way that it made it scary is that the marshals actually had white sheets out, and I'm thinking, oh no, you know, there's not a worse situation than this. And the way that these cars are built are absolutely insane, and you got to take your hat off to the safety teams for this, and obviously the designers behind the cars and for the roll cages. That accident could have been a hell of a lot worse, and I'm so happy that Todd managed to walk away from it, and it could have been a hell of a lot worse than what it was. Like, if we go back maybe 10 years, maybe not so lucky with Todd there, but with these new gen cars and safety and whatever else, it is they're very lucky, these guys, and what they do, and safety is obviously one of the biggest things, and big congratulations to Supercars for like doing massive safety inspections on these cars and whatever else, because that, like I said, could have been a hell of a lot worse. But for Todd, mate, it really wasn't your fault, man. You couldn't have done anything about it, but it was good to see you walk away from that car on your two legs. And let's just hope that we don't get a car that does the whole cartwheeling thing ever again. It is, like, don't get me wrong, it is a massive spectator thing, you know. We see a crash and it's, oh yay, cool, he flipped the car. But with something like that, or with anything like that, it is quite scary, and it's frightening, because, you know, you get that adrenaline rush. It's like, yeah, he's flipping the car, woohoo! Like Fabian Coulthard in 2010 when he flipped the car down at the chase at Bathurst. You know, it was like, oh, whoa, he flipped the car, that's so cool. And then the realization comes in and goes, shit, I hope he's alright. You know, like, seriously. But for Todd to walk away from that just comes to show how far Supercars has come in safety. So, yeah, it is very, very, very important. And it was a very, very good subject to talk about. So I hope you guys like that little bit of information there. Also, with the Turn 6 issue, I have no idea what they're going to do with these tyres walls. Like, we've seen in the last decade, people go off here and just absolutely lose the car. Like, it is crazy. Like, we had, who was it last year? One of the Valvoline cars go off, and it was insane. Like, we had Lee Holsworth and Will Davison. We had Holsworth do a solo a couple of years ago with Erebus. You know, and it's scary stuff. It's a scary corner. It's just like turn 8 at Clipsal at the sweeper there. It is a very, very scary corner. So upgrades to that corner must be on their minds, because with a red flag for an hour, you know, what are we going to do? But guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you really, really enjoyed this recap. It was actually quite fun to do retro round this week. I'm sorry I didn't, you know, dress up fancy or have anything planned for it. This was as retro as I went. So V8 Supercars, obviously with the old logo, and a couple of old cars. We have Jack Daniels. Ooh, Jack Daniels. That'd be alright right now. Jim Beam, and who's this? Vodafone. so guys, I hope you enjoyed retro round. Now, before I do go, stick around on the channel, because I have some very, very important news coming up about Bathurst. And that is the next round too. So please stick around for that. I will upload this and then upload another video. So please stick around. Hit that icon to remind you that that video will also be up as well. And also hit the icon for any other videos that I post up as well. So guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, comment on anything that you want to see next time, and I shall see you all in 2 weeks when I go to Bathurst. Cheers guys.